Il mio Signore mi ha donato un immenso e vasto tesoro, una ricchezza così grande che in questo mondo non trova confronto. Il mio Signore mi ha donato un immenso e vasto tesoro, una ricchezza così grande che in questo mondo non trova confronto. Kirpal, 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 Kirpal. Su ripeti, Kirpal. What's the purpose of life? What are we doing here? Is this all? Something in me said, no, it's not this all. There must be something else, something better. So, God was very gracious to me, really. So at that time, when I was in these kind of thoughts about existence and life, I had an incredible spiritual awakening, in which I really saw what is the purpose of existence, which is the purpose of life, where we have to go, why we are born. We are born to realize God. We are born in this world to realize the supreme truth. That's what I realized. And it came with such a clarity, with such a certainty, that I couldn't think, no, it can be different. Can be any different. It was very obvious. It was very clear. It's like seeing life with magnifying lens. You see so many things that before you couldn't see. Because we need a third eye to see reality. These two eyes are not enough. So that's how my spiritual quest began. I was not religious, really, I tell you. I was born Christian, but I wasn't a Christian because I didn't believe in all that story. I didn't like it. The way they presented it, for me, was unacceptable. So I thought, if God is this, just this, then I don't like this God. I was always very courageous. And when I understood something, I stick to it, and I live by it. So then began, after having this experience, began my very intense spiritual practice. Because I wanted to get back that experience by any cost, by any means. I would have given my life for it. And this went on for 1 year, from 1972 to 1973. I tried my best, really. I did so much meditation, yoga, meditation, any possible thing to bring back this experience. Sometimes I got close to it, but was never the same. Then in the spring of 1973, I thought, I go to India. I had read several books on yoga, Indian philosophy, Buddhism, and so on and so forth. I thought there must be some guru over there that will guide my life. So I came over to India. It was a very long trip. I came via land, took a month to reach India. So I met some people. I went to Haridwar, I went to Rishikesh. I met some gurus there. I didn't feel connected to them. Some of them I didn't like at all. So I was very lucky because somebody told me, I've met a great master just a week ago. And he lives in Dehradun. I mean, he has an ashram in Dehradun. So maybe you go see him. Maybe you will also like him. So after a few days, gave me the address of this place. So after a few days, I took a taxi and I came to Rishikesh, to Dehradun. And I started in the afternoon. So by the time I reached Dehradun, it was already dark. And then from Dehradun, I had to come to Subhashnagar. So I asked how to get here. And they told me, there is a bus stop there. You go there, wait. And at some point the bus will come, go on it, and you will reach Subhashnagar. So while I was waiting for this bus, I began feeling sensing something unusual, really, like a presence, like a very holy presence. And I began perceiving a very big, great expansion of consciousness. So I couldn't really understand what it was, but I felt very good, and it was very great, really. So I really enjoyed it, and I just watched what was happening. Then the bus came, I went on the bus, and the closer I got to this place, the more this high spirit happened inside of me. And I had such a wonderful condition, really. I was really in a state of ecstasy and bliss. At some point, somebody told me, this is the stop. So I got down from the bus, and I look around the whole place. I look up in the sky, and I saw like a halo of light covering the whole area.
The bus stopped over there, and that's where I look up and I saw this sky all like a white dome of light. And then I went to there. There were some people sitting there on the grass, and so that point was nice. And then came here and I could see the master sitting there for you. And then I went around with
So I thought, oh my God, where am I? Am I still on this planet, or am I some other planet? I was so amazed. Then somebody guided me to the gate here. And when I reached the gate, it was like coming to the gate of heaven. I really felt that I was entering heaven. You may say, how is it possible? You may believe it or not, but that's how it was for me. The state of consciousness I was in, it was so great that the earth was not the earth anymore. This physical plane was not this physical plane anymore. It had been transformed into something else. Because, you know, it is true that we have to go to God, but it's also true that God descends to us, comes down to us. And when they say this earth can be heaven, it is true, can be heaven, if you step into that state of consciousness. Because God is inside of us. And once we perceive this God presence, then the whole world becomes a divine manifestation. That's how it became for me. I'm not talking things which I read in books, which I also read in books, but it was really my experience. So I really saw that this world is the way it is, or we perceive it the way it is, because we are in that state of consciousness. So we see the world according to the way we are. And if we step into a divine state of consciousness, then this world won't be the same as you see it now. We become like heaven. You will see absolute perfection, absolute unity. You won't see this discontinuity in life. You will see that there is a flow of divine light that manifests this whole creation, this whole humanity. And we are all linked together. We are just the same thing. We are all part of this flow of light. So then I came into, they told me, you go, enter. There were some people there at the gate. Not this gate there, but this one in the back. That I saw in the very first evening. But it was different. This old fence around, the big fence was not here. It was just a bush fence here around. And he was sitting there. So I came from that side. Yeah, there is a gate there also. Yeah, I came from that side. And I saw him sitting there. Oh my God, I was... So I came in, and after 10 meters, I saw Maharaj's house, this house. And Maharaj Ji was sitting just there behind the house, under the veranda, sitting on a chair. So I looked at him, and I saw him all wrapped in an incredible aura of light. So I thought, oh my God, who is this man? I was so wonderstruck. I really saw him as a divine manifestation. So the two thoughts that came into my mind when I saw him, it was with absolute certainty that my quest was over, that my looking for something, for a guru, was ended, and that if it is true that God incarnates on earth as a man, then this man must really be God on earth. It just came spontaneously. I didn't have to, follow a logic to get to it. It was just an instant recognition that man can be God also. And this man, so full of light, he must be a God man. And that finally I found my path and my guru. So I was so happy. But then, to tell you the whole story, because now I think if I don't continue, it doesn't have much of a sense. I came close to the veranda, and there was a man sitting beside Maharaj Ji. He was sitting on the steps there. So he stood up, came to me and asked, what do you want? So I went around this fence, and there was a man sitting on the steps, and he came to me and he asked, what do you want? And I said, I would like to be here and be initiated. So I was looking at the master from the side. He was looking in that direction, and I was looking this side. I didn't speak any English at the time, I tell you. I just knew a few things. So I said, I would like to be here and be initiated by this master. And he shook his head and said, no, this is not possible. You have to go away from here. I said, what is this? I said, can you ask him, please, what he says? So he went to Maharaj Ji, and he didn't even look at me. Master didn't even look at me. He just did like this. He said, like this. just send him away, you know. Yes, sir. So there, it was really like a bang on my head, I lost my sense. So instead of going back the direction I came, which was that, I went around the pool, because I was really kind of senseless. I went all around the pool, and then I ended up at the other gate. And then I was waiting, what to do now? What is this? I couldn't understand the whole meaning of it. And then it came to me, this is a test. Just go through it. So this boy came and he told me, go in. And go in where? He said, go to this office. So I went there and nothing went like this, you know. So it was very obvious that he was sending me away. So I thought, oh my God, what this is all about. I mean, I had this very high spirit, this very high state of consciousness, this certainty inside that I have found my guru, my path and everything. And now these people are sending me away. Now, you know, when we go to a guru, most of us want to be welcome. We want the people to be gentle to us, to be nice to us. If they are unkind, we just feel hurt. We don't like it, we want to go away. But in my case, there was no kindness whatsoever. I was just told to go away, with no reason. So it was when Maharaj did like this, I was shocked, really. It was like somebody gave a bang on my head, and I became kind of spaced out, I must say. So what to do? It's obvious, I have to go away. And the obvious thing would be to go back the same way I came, means from this gate, and get out. But I was so confused that I just went around the Mansarovar, and then I ended up at the other gate. So I was standing there thinking, what does this whole story mean? I was pondering over, what's this? So, passed by a boy and told me, what you do here? And just go in. So, in the moment I understood that this is a test. This is definitely a test. And I have to go through it. So he told me, go to this room where there was kind of an office. Maybe it's even now office, I don't know. He told me, go there and present yourself. So I thought, okay, I try again. So I went there and there were some 5 or 6 people sitting around the table. They looked at me and they said, what do you want? They were also kind, I don't know why. What do you want? I said, I want to be here, I would like to stay here and be initiated by this master. I said, no, it's not possible. You go to Dehradun, he said. So I thought, well, you won't get rid of me so easily. So I just stood there and kept looking at them. So they felt an ease and they said, you go now. I just kept looking at them. Then came a lady, she was from Israel. And she spoke a bit of Italian. As I say, I didn't speak much of an English at the time. So she told me, look, Master is so busy these days. Maybe it's for this that they send you away, but maybe you come back tomorrow and you will be accepted. So this seemed reasonable to me. So I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I go to Dehradun, sleep there, and come back tomorrow. So I came back the following day, and again, people were not very kind to me. But somebody told me, you go to Maharaj's house, because there is going to be darshan there, and so you can meet him. So I came here, this side. Taiji was sitting there, Archaran Singh, and some others. So they told me, what do you want? I said, I would like to meet Maharaj Ji. I said, okay, sit down and wait. So I came here, and Dad was sitting tightly on the chair, and she looked at me very stern, like. And there was a Hacharan Singh, another man from Delhi, sitting there, and he said, what do you want? I said, I would like to see Master. He said, he was the first kind person. He said, okay, sit down, he will soon come. So I sat down there, and I was waiting, and at some point I saw this boy, this who gave me the address, who was also Italian, Roberto. I saw him coming from over there, and so I went to him and he said, ah, you've come. He said, good. Well, now Master will come, he said, so we sit there and meditate. So I just went and sat there, here. I'm telling them how the second day I came here. So I sat here. No, actually it was here. Yeah, because I could see him come down to there. And this door was open. So at some point, I didn't know from where he was going to come. I thought he was coming from inside the house. But he was up. And at some point I looked up and I saw this man coming down. And he was different from the night before. Because the night before I really saw him all wrapped in this halo of light, you know. And here I saw this man coming, and I got real, because I was sitting down and he was coming down, he really looked like a giant, you know, like an enormous man. And so he came down, and here there was his chair, so he sat here, and I found myself just in front of him. So he looked at me, I felt his eyes to be like a laser, you know, going through me. So it was like a magic moment. And then at some point he said, what are you? So there were some 20 Westerners at the time in the ashram, and by and by they gathered there. So we sat there, waiting for Master to come. And I was sitting very close to his chair. So at some point he came from up the stairs. And I saw this man coming down the stairs. It was just like walking above my head. And again, I saw him so wonderful. He was so full of light again. And I like him so much. I don't know why, but I just like him. So he came, he sat on the chair. I was just sitting in front of him. So at some point he pointed to me, and you? Who are you? And I was beginning to say, I'm from Italy, this and that. But I couldn't say much because I didn't speak English. So this lady from Israel, she came in and said, Master, he's a boy from, I was 20 years old, you know, I was very young. He's a boy coming from Italy and he would like to be here and be initiated. He asked me, what have you read? What literature have you read? So I read just 2 pamphlets, which were Man Know Thyself and 7 Paths to Perfection. When I was in Rishikesh, this boy whom I met, he gave me these pamphlets to read. So I said, just this. Oh, he said, you don't know the theory, you can't be initiated. So again I thought, oh my God, what is this again? You don't know anything. You can be initiated. Oh my God. And then I was going to say, but I read so many books about yoga and stuff. And but before I could open my mouth, I began talking with somebody else. He just cut me off. But you know, at that point, I was really in a fight with him. I didn't accept what he said. I thought, this is a test, that's all. And I'm not going to lose it. So I was going to say, but I've read so many other books about other topics. Maybe from you I've read only this, but before I could say anything, he pointed at somebody else and said, and what about you? So this lasted some half an hour, this darshan. Then we stood up And I went a bit farther, and I was pondering over again what to do next. So this boy who gave me the address in Rishikesh, and the lady came to me and said, "Oh, the master doesn't accept you. Maybe you have to travel through India, see some other gurus. Maybe this is not your path." So this felt so foolish to me. I said, "Look, you can't understand. Just leave me alone." But, you know, they felt uneasy, so they said, "Okay, you go with us." And we went someplace there. There was a kind of a canteen where they were serving tea and stuff. So I had some of these, and while I was there, a Canadian boy came and told me, "Look, when I came here, the master did more or less the same with me. But I kept coming back, and eventually he accepted me. Maybe if you do the same, he will also accept you." So then, oh, I felt good. I felt this is what I have to do. I have to insist, keep going. So I went back to Dehradun. I spent almost the whole afternoon here. Then eventually I went back to Dehradun. Next day I came back. And over there was a big satsang when I arrived here in the morning. There were thousands of people. So I sat there and I kept looking to this master, and even if he was treating me so bad, I still like him so much. So the way he talked, the way he moved his hands, the way he did things, to me was so appealing. I always saw him like really like a God man, never like a man. So there was this satsang in the morning. Then I had lunch with these Westerners people who were over there, where we have longer now. And in the afternoon there was another meeting again over there with Master, and there were all these many people, and there was a lot of bhajan singing, which went on for more than an hour or two, maybe. Kirpal Ji, Date Din Dayal Ji, Asirakiya Satheriya Ruwa. There were ladies singing bhajans. It was very beautiful. So there came this very wonderful atmosphere, and I felt so blessed, so uplifted. And at some point, the master said, "Now you sit in meditation." And he gave some instructions, but I didn't understand anything anyway, because I didn't understand his English. I didn't speak English. So it was not, you know, becoming convinced because you like the teachings, because you like a doctrine, a theology, philosophy. It was nothing like this. I didn't get into this path because I was convinced by the teachings. I didn't know anything about the teachings. It was just love for the master. That was the only thing for me that counted. And what I saw in him, that's what convinced me to take up this path. So anyway, he said, "Now you meditated." And I was already in such a high spirit that I thought, if I close my eyes and sit in meditation now, where I will end up? So anyway, I closed my eyes, I focused my attention, and it was like being on a lift or an elevator in which you push a button and you just go up. So as soon as I focused here, the inner eye opened, and I had incredible experiences. And I thought that everybody was in that condition. then meditating with this master was the same for everybody. But then I realized by and by that it was not like this. So this went on so much that stayed with me for 4 years, I tell you. The following day, eventually I went back to Dehradun to sleep. But I was in such a state of ecstasy. I went on the bus, and when I went on the bus, it seemed like a dark hall, like a dark place. After 5 minutes I was on it. It was all wrapped in a hall of light. It was like being on a train of light, or a bus of light. I went to the hotel. It was a very simple place, very cheap. But it felt like a palace to me. Next morning I woke up and I was again in the same state. So eventually Maharaj Ji was going to Delhi after a few days. So they told me, you have to ask him again about initiation. So somebody accompanied me and I came here, and Master was sitting there on the bed. When we came in, he was going to lie down. So he saw us and he straightened up himself, he straightened his turban. He sat there, the bed was sit down there. So he sat and he told me, you see, I can't accept everybody that comes here. So that's the reason why it was like this. But okay, if you want to be initiated, you come to Delhi and I will give you initiation. He was very loving. Completely changed. Because the test was over. It was not needed anymore. So next day I went back to Delhi, and I also went to Delhi. I went by car. I was invited by an American, Satsang was here, to go with them. And it was a wonderful trip. I was watching life around me, and I really saw this flow of light that manifests this whole creation. It was so obvious to me. It's like a movie. This life is like a movie. And there is a projector that projects this so-called Maya or illusion. And it is the divine light of God that projects all of this. But this is not the reality. The reality is the light. And it was so evident to me, all of this. So then I went to Delhi and I could stay in Savana Ashram. And every day we had meetings with Master, the morning, in the evening. It was fantastic. I have such a love for him. Then, after some 10 days we were there, he said, okay, tomorrow we have initiation. And we were 6 people to be initiated. There were 2 from Italy, 2 from Canada, and 2 from US. So he said, tomorrow afternoon we have initiation. So in the afternoon, very excited, we gathered in his house, and we were waiting for him to come. He was supposed to come by 4, I remember. But then 5 came, he didn't come. 6 came, he didn't come. 7 came, so he appeared at some point. And he came in like nothing. He sat there on his sofa, and one of these boys who was supposed to be initiated from Canada, he just stood up and said, but Master was going to be initiation today. And he smiled and he said, sorry, I was very busy today. We have it tomorrow, okay? So next morning we went into his house again. He came by 9 o'clock and gave us the Simran. He talked things. I didn't understand anything, but he didn't need to understand anything. Then we meditated, and for me it was an incredible experience. At the end of the meditation he said, from now on you should meditate at least 2 hours per day. I thought, 2 hours, what is 2 hours? I will meditate the whole day. Because for me meditation was so easy, really. I would sit down, hours would go, I was not even aware. So after some time, Master went to Kashmir for a tour there. And he told me, you go back to Italy and just meditate. That's all you have to do. So I went back to Italy, and things went in such a way in my life that I was free for 2 years. And for 2 years, I tell you, I did nothing but meditate all day long. And I was 20 years old. 20 years old, people do different things. They don't care about spirituality. They don't care about meditation. In general, there are exceptions, thanks God. But most of the people, they don't have, at that age, they don't have any of these interests. But from 20 to 22, I went on meditating all day long, I tell you. Because for me it was so easy. It was such a blessing. Sitting down, losing track of time. 3 hours would go like this. So that's how my spiritual life began. So when you fall in love with the Master, you will really like to dedicate your whole life to him. Because his mission becomes your mission. And everything about the Master will be of your concern. Because you love him so much. So you want to dedicate all your capacities, all of your talents to serve the Master. That's what I've done in my life. I've dedicated all my talents, all my energies, all my capacities to help my Master in his mission. So I would wish it for everybody to have this kind of falling in love with the Master. Because this is what makes your life a love story. As I said, a beautiful rose garden in which so many wonderful things happen. So I hope that this satsang was of any meaning to you. Thanks for listening. You was inspired by him. It's his grace. Try to remember and live by it.
Kirpal, 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 Kirpal. Surripeti, Kirpal.
Kirpal, 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 Kirpal. So ripeti Kirpal.